So this is the Khoodeelaar television channel broadcasting on the internet under the banner of the baby angel Geronimo Manifesto. This is Tuesday, the 5th of March, 2024. 32 years ago, on this date, 5th of March 1992, the racist newspaper, the London Guardian, carried out an attack on the anti-racist campaign being carried out under the leadership of Muhammad Haq at the Stratford School in the London Borough of Newham in East London. And the attack piece was bylined to a racist called Sarah Bosley, Bosley, and the Sarah Bosley racist piece was stuffed with ignorant, contradictory, stupid, racist, pro-racist inventions, smears, lies and untruths. It was headed "The Angry Messiah of E1, East 1." And the item started by describing Muhammad Haq as a hero in a novel by one of India's most widely publicized writers, R.K. Narayan. And the attack piece descended soon into a collection of lies, smears, and inventions against Muhammad Haq. There was no evidence of any wrongdoing. There was no evidence of any untruth by Muhammad Haq. In fact, the whole piece, "The Angry Messiah of E1", was a calculated, targeted attack piece intended to decry all utterances of truth, to denounce opposition to racism, and to violate all the treaty obligations requiring the signatory state, such as the United Kingdom, to uphold universal equality, human rights and freedom of faith, speech, and opinion and thought, as contained in the founding declarations of the United Nations in the 1940s, and as subsequently ratified and upheld by the United Kingdom as a signatory state to literally hundreds of declarations, charters, conventions, and statements up to the date of the attack piece, "The Angry Messiah of E1", in The Guardian on the 5th of March 1992. Sarah Bosley, of course, is no longer on the staff of The Guardian 32 years later, but she is still an active member of what used to be called the Fleet Street professionals. She is as dishonest now as she was 32 years ago. 32 years ago, she spoke to Muhammad Haq on the telephone on condition that any subsequent item that she would publish subsequent to that interview would have to be only the truth, nothing but the truth. But of course, she was lying. Among the participants in the targeted smear piece intended to smear Muhammad Haq were the now recently deceased racist liar Peter Newsom, the recently announced Alzheimer diagnosed former leader of the Greater London Council, the Ken Lying Still Livingston, one of the UK department in the name of education inspectors, Eric Bolton, the head teacher for a long time at the Marlbury School in Tower Hamlets, Daphne Gould. These criminals were among the criminals cited by the ignorant racist liar Sarah Bosley in the attack piece intended to smear Muhammad Haq. But there was nothing that could smear Muhammad Haq because everything Muhammad Haq was doing in 1992 and had been doing up to that time and has been doing since that time is intended only to be truthful, based only on the truth and nothing but the truth. Whereas the confession made in that piece and attributed to the now deceased liar Peter Newsom, that confession actually confirmed what Muhammad Haq had said all along, that while Peter Newsom, the racist liar, was in post as the chairman of the Commission for Racist Enslavement, CRE, had racial equality on to specifically physically deny access to Muhammad Haq. The only person that was denied access to the building because Muhammad Haq was telling the truth, asking the truth, while the others who were allowed access and entry into the CRE building in Victoria, London SW1, were compliant with the narrative in the agenda that Peter, the racist liar, Newsom, preferred to be praised by ethnic surrogates and mental slaves. So we shall be continuing, contextually updating on that 32 years on. This is the Khoodeelaar television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto. The Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto is one of the constituent ethical, moral, evidential pieces of the decades-long campaign being organized, mobilized, conceived, researched, investigated by Muhammad Haq, presenting this program. Baby Angel Geronimo is the world's bestest, most authentic, most reliable witness to the corruption, the criminality, the lies, the lying, the denials and the denying that makes up the state, United Kingdom, that makes up the judiciary in the name of the United Kingdom, that makes up the parliament in the name of the United Kingdom. In 1992, 32 years ago, George Git Galloway was not being heard because he was not speaking against racism in 1992. The George Git Galloway has been declared as the newly elected Member of Parliament for the Rochdale constituency in Greater Manchester at the by-election that was held on the 29th of February 2024. Tabled one single motion that goes under the heading of early day motions that opposes the racist nature of the UK Parliament, the racist nature of the UK executive government, the racist nature and composition of the United Kingdom media. 1992 was years before George Git Galloway was kicked out of the Labour Party by the then Labour Party leader, Tony Blair. And since being kicked out of the Labour Party, George Git Galloway was also not a Member of Parliament. And so he needed a Member of Parliament platform. Until that time, George Git Galloway had never been a Member of Parliament for a constituency in England. All his stints as a Member of Parliament had been from constituencies based in Scotland. But after being ousted from the Labour Party, George Git Galloway desperately needed a parliamentary constituency, and it was unlikely that he would get a winnable seat anywhere in Scotland or indeed in England. So he revived the business of being the champion, the professional champion of the Muslims, which was based on a completely confected lie, pack of lies. George Git Galloway never represented the genuine experience, the genuine, objective, universal aspirations and the rights and the needs of Muslims or any other demography. But he found that because of racism in the Labour Party and racism in the British Conservative Party, his most probable successful bid to become an MP again would be to pose as a champion of Muslims, which he paraded himself as being in the run-up to the election that was held in May 2005, and he stood as a candidate for election as the member. Now we have covered in dozens of commentaries broadcast on this channel, the many lies and untruths and pretensions of George Galloway. So we are not going to available already on the record, except to say that since he failed the election to get elected, George Galloway became desperate in Bradford West, and he successfully bagged the votes of the people in that constituency and became an MP again in 2012. Then he lost in 2015, and between 2012 and 2015, George Galloway lost a significant series of court actions, culminated in the defeat by him in a defamation action against him, brought by a Muslim woman. So George Galloway apologized and admitted that he had defamed the innocent Muslim woman. He also defamed another Muslim woman called Naz Shah, who successfully became an MP in 2015 for Bradford West. So what the pattern shows is that George Galloway appears as the fresh voice, allegedly for the Muslims in a disenfranchised constituency containing significant numbers of Muslim electors. This is the case in the latest by-election that he has won in Rochdale in Greater Manchester. Given the pattern of his behavior, it is only a matter of time before he loses that at the next election, whenever the general election is held. So it will be probably one of the shortest lived that George Galloway has had as an MP. As a career professional parader of Muslim championship, George Galloway has contemptuously described his career as a detour. In a speech in 2005, allegedly about the campaign that the Khoodeelaar campaign was running, allegedly a campaign that allegedly in support of the campaign by Khoodeelaar campaign in defense of the community in the east end of London, especially against the Crossrail hole. George Galloway stupidly boasted that he is being an MP at the present time, at that time, which was in July 2005 when he spoke in the House of Commons, was a detour, as if it was a guaranteed success that he could bag, he alone could bag, B-A-G. There is no such thing. And looking at the published, accessible records of George Galloway's behavior, that is utterances, initiatives, etc., in the House of Commons, from his first becoming an MP for a Scottish constituency in 1987 up to now, it is impossible to find one single evidence, one single item of solidarity with the Muslim community anywhere, in Bethnal Green and Bow, in Bradford West, or indeed in Rochdale. In the West Yorkshire region, near Rochdale, for the last 20 years at least, there have been many cases of what is called the grooming of young girls by what is alleged to be the Pakistani origin rapists, gangsters, and groomers. This has been a very serious issue that persists today and impacts on the integrity, ordinarily integrity of the Muslim population in the wider population. But George Gitt Galloway has not spoken in any way, shape or form that we can find addressing that issue. Contrary to George Gitt Galloway's claims that he is against corruption in public life, his career, George Gitt Galloway's career, is full of corruption, misstatements, falsification, diversion, including the significant propaganda that he made through the gullible participation of Jemima Khan, claiming to her, according to her statement in the New Statesman, that he had become a Muslim. He keeps denying the duty to confess whether he is a Muslim or he is a Catholic, saying, strangely, that a person's faith is a personal matter. And yet he keeps festering in the propaganda lie that bases itself on the Muslim population as a public entity, very opposite to a private identity. So we understand that George Gitt Galloway is making overtures to Jeremy Corbyn, inviting Jeremy Corbyn to join him, George Gitt Galloway, now an MP, to join him in an alliance, electoral alliance, to be used during the next election, whenever the election is due. It is not going to succeed because, contrary to the mythology being promoted by the racists who actually gave platforms to George Gitt Galloway, there is not going to be a significant number of members of parliament elected at the next election, whenever that happens, who will be elected because of the consolidation of votes against the Keir Starmer fronted Labour Party. Whatever the justification, whatever the desirability of having such an outcome, it is impossible to predict that that kind of outcome will happen. It is possible that a number of members of parliament will get elected based on the evidence of Keir Starmer's collusion with the genocidist attacks on the Palestinian people. But that will not be enough for a demographic, electoral, psephological mobilization of sufficient numbers of people who will be voting to send to Parliament members of Parliament who would be committed against a Keir Starmer fronted Labour Party or Keir Starmer fronted UK government, which is not certain but is being touted as being likely. We shall be updating on the Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto based on all the evidence that is coming out during the various inquiries, including the latest findings that show that the police in every part of England are beyond accountability. And the latest findings in the inquiry about how the kidnapper, the rapist, the murderer, and the burner of the body of Sarah Everard, Wayne Couzens, got into be recruited as a metropolitan policeman. All of these show that there is no accountability whatsoever. There is no justice in the system. And the Baby Angel Geronimo, the campaign against Baby Angel Geronimo, operated by the liars at DEFRA in the United Kingdom, the campaign was only possible because there is no actual platform for the innocents to be protected from harassment, defamation, and violent plots being hatched against the innocents by the likes of the DEFRA and other UK government departments. So the manifesto will be updated based on the latest new aspects of factual findings about the way that Wayne Couzens was able to be recruited into the Metropolitan Police. We shall be ending this particular bulletin at 28 minutes, just after more than 28 minutes long, at 08:24 hours GMT on Tuesday, the 5th of March 2024.